So in the last session, we had started with leadership, supervision, and management, but we did not complete it. So we continue in here. We also talked about this. The leader inspires trust, and we had a really good example and a humorous example for it, which we watched also. The manager has eye on the bottom line. The leader looks to the future. So who's right here? Huh? Who is right? The manager or the leader? Both. Why both? Because you require both type of people. You require people who are looking into the bottom line and also looking into the regular management of stuff, and also who is a futuristic person looking into what else we can do in the future. Okay. Now, supervision. A supervisor is a person given responsibility of planning, controlling work, group members are therefore the lowest level of management. Now, just to talk about the futuristic role, let's just take Netflix as an example. Now, Netflix, what is Netflix? Netflix is a streaming platform. Okay, a streaming platform in the sense where the content gets streamed, and we pay a monthly subscription to it. Yes or no? But do you guys also know that Netflix is a very big production house? Do you know that? Huh? वही तो, they are a production house. They make it by themselves. And why they make it by themselves is they know what is trending, what is going on, and then they make it. Okay. Now, many years back, were they a production house? No. They were just selling subscriptions. And then slowly, they went on. How? Because they were having a futuristic view that if we have a really good content and people at a place, then we will be able to make and sell by ourselves, and that in product. Now, that was a futuristic view, and which they are in right now. Now, is it done that okay, they have their production house, they have this, is it okay, fine? No, still they want to know that how do we maintain this, because it's not the end of the road, it is a road way ahead. Now, how do I maintain this, how do I grow further from this? They have to think. अगर उनका फ्यूचरिस्टिक व्यू हम बता दे तो हम जाके काम कर सकते हैं उधर, लेकिन आई डोंट नो व्हाट कैन दे डू नेक्स्ट, बट दे हैव टू थिंक that what can they do next. Whereas in a supervision view, it is the lowest level of management, which looks into the, the laborers or the lower level management, lower level employees, so that the manager does not have to come and meet to all the lower level managers. The lower level employees will meet the supervisor and get the work done. Now, for that, we have a short test understanding. Can you guys just answer this? So what's the answer? Sorry. Changing the size of the purchasing limits. Okay. Changing the size of the purchasing limits. Yeah. क्योंकि ये जो है मैनेजर के हाथ में रहेगा. And all other stuff A, B, C are regular work which will come under the scope of the supervisor. Now, let's just see here. There's another topic known as managerial authority and responsibility. Now, from here, you should be also remembering who has said this, because there can be a question related to it, or he'll also give you that according to this guy, okay, fail. What do you think? What would be your opinion on this? Okay, so as we outlined earlier, managers have the authority to ensure staff follow their instructions. This raises the question, what do we mean by authority? Authority refers to the relationship between the participants within an organization. There are several definitions, but among the best are, authority is the right to give orders and the power to exact obedience. According to whom? Fail. It is the right to do something or ask someone else to do something and expect it to be done. Write it down, write it down. So what does fail say here? Authority is the right to do something or ask someone to do it. Now this is with their exact obedience or influence. Influence coming in from good means or bad means does not matter. Then responsibility is the liability of a person to be called to account for his account, her actions. It expresses the obligation a person has to fulfill a given task. A person is said to be responsible for a piece of work, or he or she is required to ensure it. और एक बात ये देखो, सबसे ज्यादा important, responsibility cannot be delegated to others. Responsibility cannot be delegated to others. If a manager is responsible for a given task, he may choose to delegate it to a member of his team. If they fail to perform the task in a satisfactory manner, the manager is still responsible for this failure. This is because it was manager's choice to delegate the task, as well as manager's failure to ensure it was accomplished. Pretty important. Now, which of the following statements regarding authority and responsibility is correct? Authority cannot be delegated to subordinates. Authority is the obligation a person has to fulfill a task. Responsibility is the right to do something because of your position within an organization. Responsibility cannot be delegated to subordinates. There's only one. I also go with that only. C. Authority is the right to do something. Responsibility is a liability. Anyone has a doubt in another option? Yes. अब देखो, responsibility cannot be delegated to others. मतलब you can delegate work to others, but the responsibility still remains in your favor only, in your hand only. So in short, responsibility को आप आगे नहीं बढ़ा सकते, काम को आप आगे बढ़ा सकते. Then power. Try not to get confused between authority and power. Authority is the right to do something, while power is the ability to do something. For example, a manager may have the authority or the right to ask one of his team to undertake a certain task. However, the team member could simply refuse. Power is what enables the manager to ensure that the team member will comply with his request. Done. Making note of it. Number one can be French and Raven identified 5 types of sources of power. Number one is reward power. If suppose you are able to give a reward to someone on completion of a task, then you will give reward there, and that's reward power. Coercive power. Coercive power मतलब forcibly you're putting in power. Punish करो या फिर something which is not that satisfactory. पैसे काट दूंगा या फिर demotion हो जाएगा. You will get demoted in your job role. That is coercion power. आप लोग वो फिल्म नहीं देखे घातक? एक फेमस डायलॉग है उसमें. उसमें कातिया बोलता काशीनाथ को के हमें खुशी हुई तुम्हारी बहादुरी देखकर, तुम्हें और खुशी होगी ये जानकर कि आज के बाद तुम मेरे गिरोह में काम करोगे. तो फिर काशीनाथ को नहीं पहचानते तुम लोग? सनी देओल यार, सनी देओल फिर बोलता कि ये मजदूर का हाथ है कातिया, लोहा पिघला कर उसका आकार बदल देता है। ये ताकत खून पसीने की रोटी से कमाई हुई। हाँ, आप पुरानी फिल्म में फिर, नहीं तो मुझे किसी टुकड़ों पे पलने की जरूरत नहीं, बोलता हूँ। तो फिर कातिया बोलता है उसको कि कीड़े मकोड़ों की तरह रहने से अच्छा है कि मेरे पास रहो। तो फिर काशीनाथ बोलता, पिंजरे में आकर शेर भी कुत्ता बन जाता है। मतलब सोचो डायलॉग कैसे है ये। लेकिन फिर भी ही इज ट्राइंग टू इम्प्लीमेंट हिज पावर। हु? कातिया, डैनी भाई। और वो ये भी बोलता है कि तो क्या, हमारे पास रहोगे तो नाम होगा तुम्हारा, इनाम मिलेंगे, रुपए पैसा मिलेगा, लोग डरेंगे तुमसे। क्या था ये? रिवॉर्ड पावर। लेकिन फिर भी काशियार क्या बोलता, डरा कर लोगों को वो जीता है जो जिसके रगों में खून नहीं पानी हो। आगे का भी एक डायलॉग है, वो आप लोग खुद देख लो टीवी पे कभी। देन लेट्स कम फॉरवर्ड। एक्सपर्ट पावर, रेफरेंट पावर, legitimate power. Now, what was this power now? You suppose you have some expert knowledge, which someone else does not have, then you will have the power to make things work. Referent power is based on the personal qualities of the individual and often occurs when one person identifies with or wishes to imitate other. Legitimate power, this is a power derived from being in a position of authority within the organization. For instance, other employees may follow the instructions of senior and managers simply because of their position at the top. Just because they are at the top, उनकी बात सुनना पड़ता है। जस्ट बिकॉज वो सीनियर है, उनकी बात सुनना पड़ता। लेकिन कभी कभी मेरे को जैसे सीनियर जूनियर का जो है फंडा समझ में ही नहीं आता। खैर, other possible sources of power may include resource power. This is power based on control over key resources. For example, a union may have power over an organization as it can control whether the organization's employees go on strike. The union therefore controls the key resources, which is staff. उसको संभाल कर रखते हैं, अच्छा रखते हैं उसको। अब जैसे आप गली में खेलने गए और कोई एक बच्चा बैट लेके आ गया, ठीक है, तो वो तो रिसोर्स लेके आया, तो आप क्या करेंगे उसको, अगर वो आउट भी हो जाए तो नहीं नहीं तुम नॉट आउट है, तुम खेलो और थोड़ा। क्यों? क्योंकि अगर वो चले गया तो बैट चले गया, बैट चले गया तो गेम चले गया। तो मेक दैट पर्सन हैप्पी, पावर आ गया उसके पास। देन नेगेटिव पावर, ability to use disruptive behavior and attitudes to prevent things from happening. Again, a union could have this power over an organization as it can implement strike action, disrupting organization ability to operate. बहरहाल, ये कैसे तरीके से काम को चलाते हैं ये लोग नेगेटिवली भी, that's also there available. But let's just go towards this question. If a manager justifies an instruction to a subordinate by saying, because I am a qualified accountant, the manager is relying on which of the following basis of power? What it is? Expert power without saying. Now, link between authority and responsibility. यहाँ पे this particular topic, responsibility without authority and authority without responsibility. These are two major things, two social things जो आज के लाइफ में आप एनकाउंटर करेंगे लोगों के साथ। Was that responsibility without authority and authority without responsibility. I am giving you 2 minutes. You can read this all and come up with some explanation about it. What do you think about it? Done. Tell me, what do you mean by responsibility without authority?
कोई मैनेजर भी कंपनी के तो देखता हूँ कि सबऑर्डिनेट्स आ रहे टाइम पे आ रहे एम्प्लॉइज या नहीं आ रहे तो अगर नहीं आ रहे लोग टाइम पे अपने पास ज़्यादा क्वालिटी नहीं रही तो कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते उसके बारे में तो लाइक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी विदाउट रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी हो गया अथॉरिटी विदाउट रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी हो गया तो जैसा आपके पास अथॉरिटी होते लेकिन रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कुछ भी नहीं अपन कुछ भी काम करना है अपन ऐसी मोटिवेशन के कर दिए गलत भी करे तो मतलब लाइक
नेगेटिव कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस आपको नहीं पड़ते तो हम लोग ये बोल सकते हैं ना कि रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी विदाउट अथॉरिटी इज समथिंग लाइक आपके तरफ से जुस्तजू अच्छी रहती है लेकिन आपके पास अथॉरिटी नहीं रहती है, आपके पास वो पावर नहीं रहता है, इसलिए काम अच्छा नहीं होता है। ठीक है, या फिर आपको प्रॉपर सपोर्ट नहीं मिलता है इसलिए आपके पास प्रॉपर अथॉरिटी नहीं है। दैट्स अ बिग टाइम प्रॉब्लम। बट उसकी वजह से क्या होगा, आपका परफॉर्मेंस अच्छा नहीं होगा। लेकिन द लेटर पार्ट, द सेकेंड वन, अथॉरिटी विदाउट रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, मतलब उनको अथॉरिटी दे दिए और रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कुछ नहीं है उनको, तो फिर दे आर अ थ्रेट टू द सोसाइटी एट लार्ज। दे आर अ थ्रेट टू द सोसाइटी एट लार्ज। कैसा, मैं बता तो आप। मैं भी सोचा कभी कभी इसके बारे में, अरे ये वी हैव टू थिंक अबाउट इट। अब जैसे कि देखो, मेरे पास अथॉरिटी है आप लोग को क्लास पढ़ाने की, यस और नो? रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है? नहीं है? कहाँ है?
के साथ काफी
आके बोलते आप रेस्पॉन्सिबल थे, मैं बोलूंगा कि मैं जितना पढ़ा सकता था पढ़ा, मेरी क्लास में 50 बच्चे रहते, 50 में से बच्चे पास भी होते, फेल भी होते। आपके बच्चे फेल में हुए, तो फिर मैं तो बोल के आई एम डन। कहाँ आगे, आगे रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आप लोग के हाथ में। बोलो अब। चलो ये क्लास को छोड़ो। सपोज समवन इज गिविंग यू लाइफ और करियर एडवाइजेस। कौन देते ज्यादातर लाइफ और करियर एडवाइजेस?
खानदान के रिलेटेड
खानदान के जो क्या?
खानदान में मतलब लोग वो नहीं रहते, मैडम नहीं रहते, तो आते आज आप स्कूल में ऐसा
हाँ
करना।
एग्जैक्टली ऐसा करना बोल के अथॉरिटी लेकर आते कि हम बड़े हैं, हमारी बात सुनना बोल के। आते नहीं आते मतलब, एम आई सेइंग राइट और नॉट? लेकिन सपोज अगर आप कर दो और अगर उसमें कहीं फंस जाओ तो फिर आके आपको बचाते वहां से वो। दैट इज अथॉरिटी विदाउट रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी। दे आर दैट टाइप ऑफ पीपल आर अ थ्रेट टू द सोसाइटी, बोल के हट जाते। अब ये अथॉरिटी विदाउट रेस्पॉन्स, कैन यू आंसर दिस? What can be the cause of this problem? श्योर, एक बार चेक करो, मेरे को तो दूसरा दिख रहा है।
लाइए अंदर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी और डिपार्टमेंट में आती है।
रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एग्जैक्टली। आपको क्या दिखा? नहीं देखो यहाँ पे, he has the responsibility to do all these accounting works, but just because the senior manager is not there, has fallen ill, तो क्या हो गया? अथॉरिटी लैक कर रही है यहाँ पे। अगर सीनियर मैनेजर भी टीम में है अभी एंड ही सेइंग हाँ मुझे दे दो हम काम कर लेंगे, आफ्टर ऑल गैब्रियल विल ओनली मेक दैट पर्टिकुलर रिपोर्ट, okay, but he is missing, he has fallen ill, so they do not give it. They are not happy because of that. They are not happy because giving the information to Gabriel alone. If they're giving the information to Gabriel and the senior manager is also there, okay, the financial controller is also there, then they are happy to give it to Gabriel. उनके साथ, उनको Gabriel के साथ कोई personal पे दुश्मनी नहीं है। Let's move forward. Classical theorist of management, the 5 functions of management comes planning, organizing, commanding, coordinating, controlling. अब इसके ऊपर हम लोग उतना डिटेल में हम लोग बात करने वाले नहीं है, जस्ट गोइंग टू बी एन ओवरव्यू। द मैनेजर अकॉर्डिंग टू फेयल इज अ पर्सन हु इज प्लानिंग, फोरकास्टिंग, ऑर्गेनाइजिंग, गिविंग कमांड, कोऑर्डिनेटिंग, having control over stuff. Whereas there is another guy called Taylor, who says scientific. Taylor believed that by analyzing work in a scientific manner, it was possible to find the best way to perform a task. He felt by organizing work in the most efficient way, the organization's productivity would be increased, allowing them to reward employees with additional remuneration. Tasks should be analyzed in detail to determine the most efficient methods. Staff should be scientifically managed. One of the most suitable people should be chosen, trained, and developed for job. Managers should make all key decisions and provide detailed instructions to workers. Work must be divided between managers and workers with close cooperation between both groups to maximize efficiency. मतलब काम को अच्छे से अच्छा करना, scientifically करना. This is what he's saying there. Now here's an illustration. So basically कौन से theories पढ़े हैं हम अभी? Classical theories of management. उसमें क्या है पहले? फेल क्या बोलता है कि ये 5 काम है मैनेजर के. Whereas टेलर क्या बोल रहा है? It is scientific management. You should find out the best way to do it. And he says that अगर उनको ज्यादा पैसे देंगे तो उनसे काम अच्छा होगा. What else? Tasks should be analyzed and determined in the most efficient method used. So basically find out the best method to be done and make the task to be done in that manner. Now here's an illustration of both. Taylor suggested that if workers were moving 12.5 tons of iron ore per day, they could be incentivized money to try and move 47.5 tons per day. Left to their own devices, they would probably become exhausted and fail to reach their goal. Yes or no? 12.5 tons move कर रहे हैं और 47.5 tons move करना मतलब 4-5 दिन का काम एक दिन में करने के लिए बोल रहे हैं. हो सकता है क्या वो? हो सकता है अगर एम्प्लॉइज मतलब लेबरर्स और हो, उनके पास मशीनरी और ज्यादा हो तो हो सकता है. लेकिन यहाँ पे एक पॉइंट बोल रहा है, left to their own devices, they would probably be exhausted. However, by first conducting experiments to determine the amount resting that was necessary, the worker managers would determine the optimal time and lifting resting so that workers could lift. In this, interestingly, only 1 in 8 iron ore workers were capable of doing this. They were not extraordinary people, but their physical capability was suited to moving iron ore. This led to Taylor to conclude that workers should be selected according to how well they are suited to a job. मतलब उनकी physical physique को देखो, उनके काम को देखो, will they be able to do that work? कमजोर टीम को लेकर तो वर्ल्ड कप खेलने नहीं जा सकते. वर्ल्ड कप तो अभी आ रहा है, पता नहीं फिर क्या होगा. क्या होगा, जीतेगी इंडिया या नहीं? किसको मालूम, पता है. देखो तुम लोग तो क्रिकेट फॉलो भी नहीं करते. Okay. Criticisms of the classical models. While there are areas where classical models are still relevant, most modern theorists would argue that more progressive approach is needed. Okay. It is recognized that there is not always the best way of doing the work. Managers realize that employees can have valuable insights into a job and make important suggestions for improvements, and many workers are motivated by factors other than financial rewards. मतलब उनकी खुशी, उनका satisfaction, job satisfaction भी होना चाहिए rather than just financial rewards and incentives. A classical approach is still being utilized today since this is the principle applied to the most call centers. Targets are set for a number of calls to be taken in a predetermined time period, and reward is based on the achievement of the target. Now, which of the following statements best describes the classical approach to management? Different employees will be motivated by different things. Communication should be encouraged. One best approach exists. An employee is considered an input to the organizational system. C. 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 क्यों सी? क्योंकि one best approach exists. Who says this? Taylor says it. Fail क्या बोला? There are 5 responsibilities of a manager. Taylor says that find the one best approach. Experiment करो, पता लगाओ what's the best approach, and then act on it. Okay. फिर आ रहा है एल्टन मायो, the Human Relations School. During his 5-year study at the Hawthorne Works of the Western Electric Company in Chicago, Mayo argued that employee behavior depends primarily on group relations and management worker communication rather than working practices or physical conditions, that is, lighting and noise. Wage levels are not the dominant motivating factor for most workers. Ultimately, worker attitudes, group relationships, leadership style were the key factors that determined productivity. This approach recognized the role of interpersonal relationships in determining workplace behavior, and it demonstrated that factors that other than pay can motivate workers. क्या बोल रहा है एल्टन मायो? खाली पैसे से नहीं चलाया जाता बिजनेस, खाली रुपए पैसा से अगर